Welcome to our final day of 7 consecutive live YouTube videos. I waited until Jeopardy was over so everybody could see Jeopardy and participate in the final Jeopardy category or final Jeopardy clue. Is it me or was there a time when there were regular games of Jeopardy? And then someone would win, they'd stick around, and then there would be a new champion. Now I feel like there's only tournament of champions or masters or whatever they call it. I feel like every single night for months on end, literally, is just tournament of champions or a different Jeopardy championship category or something. And I'm not complaining because I'd rather have that than the super easy Jeopardies, like college or high school or, whatever. But if every day is a special game, eventually there are no special games. So, it was very frustrating today. I don't want to spoil Jeopardy for anybody that has T-voted it. But, Prissy, don't do that. Don't do that, Prissy. Prissy, don't do that. Don't do that. But the final Jeopardy category was notorious figures or something like that. And it was one of those things. I didn't say it out loud, so I don't get a lot of credit with my wife. But there were three names that came to my mind as being a possible correct response. And I didn't say it, so it doesn't count. But I said it's going to be either this person, that person, or this person. And then they gave the clue, and I didn't get it. And I was being distracted by my son who was asking me for a piece of orange or something. And sure enough, it was one of the three names that I had thought of. So I should have said it out loud, and then I should have thought more while my son was jumping on me. He's taking a little bit of a bath right now. Well, not a little bit of a bath. He's taking a major bath right now. And then hopefully we'll get him to bed early, and I could do a little bit more work on tonight's show, and then maybe, just maybe, get in a little exercise and watch Curb Your Enthusiasm. We will see. All right. I see nobody is watching this live. So if you happen to see this later, I would appreciate it if you would share this on all of your social media platforms and encourage people to subscribe to our YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is Morano Vision. Just hit the subscribe button. And if you do that, not only will you be notified whenever we go live, but you'll also have, be notified whenever we upload a new video. Very exciting. Thursday is the end of Lent. It is Holy Thursday. And at sundown, I will be having a drink for the first time in 40 days. Not going to get crazy because, after all, I have to work that night. But I am looking forward to that glass of wine or martini and decided what I'm going to break my Lenten fast with. And hopefully, I will see some of you there. Looking forward to being on the radio tonight. I am not going to spend too much time talking about these latest Trump legal issues because, I was listening to the radio before and they were talking about these Trump legal issues. And my wife came back, excuse me, from running an errand. And she said to me, I stopped paying attention to all of these Trump legal issues a year ago. And honestly, that's the way I feel to some extent. And I feel like that's the way a lot of people feel. People are just so exhausted wherever they fall on this issue about all these Trump legal issues. You go dizzy trying to follow all this stuff. So I'm not going to be spending much time on that tonight. Two things that I am hoping to spend some time on tonight: the presidency of Martin. We have a whopping one viewer. Thank you to the one person that's watching. If you have a question at any point, feel free to just type it in there, and I will be happy to answer it. The presidency of Martin Van Buren, not somebody that we spend that much time talking about these days, but a very important person in American history. So I think this discussion with this historian that I'm going to have today is going to be worthwhile. And I'm going to try and get into a little bit of this reaction to this Russian terrorist attack. First of all, it's just horrible. This death toll of innocent people keeps going up. Oh, Jay wants to join the stream. Let's add Jay. But in addition, hey, Bridget. Joe Ween is here. This is
Yeah,
exciting.
buddy, what's going on?
Joe Ween, whose New Year's resolution is to see me once a month, is trying to make up for February by
Yeah.
hopefully coming up with 2 opportunities to see me in March. Am I going to see you Thursday evening for dinner at Il Cortile?
Well, I'm going to try, but I can't drink because I try to stay true to my resolution until Easter Day.
That is so bogus. I'm going to send you what the church says. They say at sundown on Holy Thursday, after the feast of something,
All
then
right.
you're able to indulge again. Trust me.
Yeah.
Because,
So,
well, no, here's what the thing is. Do you abstain on Sundays also?
yes.
Yeah. Okay. So me too. So we can start drinking Thursday night because if it's supposed to be 40 days, right? So if you count from Ash Wednesday to Holy Thursday, including Sundays, it's 40 days. If you exclude Sundays, as a lot of people do, Bridget Guzzi, the lovely Bridget Guzzi, is probably watching, may exclude Sundays, then you're not at 40 days yet. You're at 36 days and you have to go until Sunday. So the idea is Jesus was hanging out in the desert for 40 days, not
Yes.
drinking. So, I mean, supposedly, who knows who's there to verify it, but he was supposedly not drinking for 40 days. And then, the tide went on come the 41st. So, I'll send you the citation. That's directly from the Vatican.
I take your word for it, Frank. And
Yeah.
I actually I was going to try and come out, but I have a nice cigar for you. That I have two of them. That one's for you.
Wow.
It's a Cuban seed, but from Nicaragua.
Oh, wow.
So,
Well, they're both communists. It's got to be a good cigar.
yeah. So I mean, the forced late, the rolling because they roll it wrong, you can wind up in a gulag. So they roll it quite well, right? So
Exactly. See, Joe can make jokes like that because he's of Cuban descent.
yes,
So
yes,
he can make jokes that poke fun at the
yeah.
peace-loving
So
peasant cigar smokers.
and so Frank, you want to know the reason I couldn't make it out?
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, so this is going to sound funny. I had like homework due. So I'm getting the certification for my job in AI, and I have to take some other courses along with it. And part of it was doing a research paper, like a legit college research paper, which I haven't had to do a research paper in, I don't know, 30, 25 years, 30 years.
I
Right?
question how much research you were even doing 25 or 30 years ago.
Yeah, but so, dude, the funny thing is that I had to get it. So, of course, the teacher told me don't use a mixed method research. Do quantitative or qualitative research because you're going to get overwhelmed. And let me tell you, I got overwhelmed. I was so much information. I was reading for days and days and days, and I fell into the trap where I'm just researching and taking notes and researching and taking notes, and then all of a sudden, I have 2 days to do it all and write my thesis, my hypothesis, the whole 9 yards. And I just got overwhelmed. And I literally was like college days just jamming for an exam. So I was writing my paper. Right.
I get
And,
it.
and today, everyone says, well, just use the AI to write it for you. But they have AI now to detect AI.
Right.
So
Right.
you
Yeah,
can't do
no,
it.
they can. Yeah, which I guess it makes sense, right? I mean, but for a while, I don't know if you saw. I don't watch South Park, but somebody showed me this clip where there's.
I'm an avid South Park fan.
So you probably saw this, where all the students are using AI to write their papers, and all the teachers are using AI to grade their papers. And I feel like that's almost where we are. In school districts, they're actually encouraging the teachers to use AI in part to save, some of the tedium.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Frank, and it's so funny today. So what you could do is it's like in part of my research is basically the application of AI in homeland security because of my job, right? But they have AI now because there's always someone smarter and coming up with the next thing. So you can have AI outline it. You could write
Yeah.
your notes in and then say, AI, whatever application you're going to use, simplify this for me or combine this for me, and it will do it. And then when you put it on the plagiarism check, the only thing that's plagiarized, which always comes up, is your references because they have to be exact.
Well, that's interesting. I just read an article today that there were, I want to say maybe 44. And if I see we have one more person just join us, if you're watching, Joseph Funicello-Ween, kind enough to jump on this live YouTube cast. And rumor has it he has a cigar for me. We'll see when the rubber meets the road come Thursday. But I read an article today that there were 44 or so um, published research papers in journals that all use this same AI phrase, which was as of my last update, which is something that when you ask AI, who has the most home runs, it'll say, as of my last update, it's Barry
Mhm.
Bonds. So they say that that's a pretty easy way to know that at least these 44 scholarly papers were written, at least in part, by AI. I mean, I don't know how whoever wrote those
Yeah.
papers didn't think to take that phrase out of there before submitting them, but I guess some
I'm
people
gonna,
are in a hurry.
I'm gonna switch seats because I don't like my door in the background. I'd rather have my
Yeah,
plants, but I don't know if I'm gonna wash
understandable.
out with the light. But yeah,
No, no, you're looking good.
but it's easy because what you could do is, like I said, I'm moving around a lot. You could turn around and say, "Hey, can you tell me about this?" And it will give you a whole thing. Yes, I can. This is
Yep.
this research. And so it's the only thing I realized what it can't do is give you a reference. Like if say, hey, can you give me a reference of a study on this? It can't pull a study up for you. But if you ask it to explain AI to you, let's just say, it will explain it to you and say, hey, can you give me a hypothesis on this, or put your hypothesis in it and say, hey, refine this for me. It refines it. Part of that South Park thing too is one of the girls is complaining to her boyfriend about how when she sends him texts, he just says okay or gives a thumbs up or says yes, and the other boyfriend says all these cute little things. So he goes to his friend, Kate, can you do me? He goes, look at dude, I'm gonna give you a secret. It's not me. He has GPT automatically responding to his girlfriend. That's why he's so lovey-dovey and everything.
That's very funny.
Yeah.
That's very funny. Yeah, I'm tempted at times to use Chat GPT to respond to the mountain of email I'm getting each day, but I don't feel like it could do a good job capturing my I don't know, je ne sais quoi.
No, you definitely have that, Frank. You have that je ne sais quoi. You have a way, and you can respond in emails to multiple groups of us, but have each paragraph that you respond to, like the one to me, is personalized.
Right.
Right? Chat GPT can't. It can't.
Exactly.
It
Right.
can't
Yeah.
personalize. Only you can get that down to where it needs to be.
Although they say with ChatGPT 5, it's going to be a much more souped up version. It's going to do all sorts of crazy stuff nobody even knows. Now they have, they're beta testing these AI video makers where you can type in a scene that you want to see and it'll create a whole scene
Yes.
digitally, which has a lot of
Mm-hmm.
the film studios, very alarmed, I would think. Hey, I want to. Yeah, I know you're a military guy, obviously, and I've been eager to get your take on the Russia terrorist attack. I mean, just about everybody I've seen says that it's ISIS K, and I know you were in Afghanistan.
Yes.
Doing your thing there. Do you share that, or do you think maybe it's something else? Because
Uh,
there is a loud corner of the world that says maybe it's something else.
Yeah, well, Frank, I think what lends everyone to believe that it's some sort of secret plot with the United States and Ukraine and everything is because we are openly supporting and funding a war. I don't even know if we could call it a proxy war anymore.
Right.
That we are in a war with Russia right now. One of the intel reports I read today from my job, who will rename unnamed who I work for, right? Because I'm not allowed to say, not because
Sure.
it's secret. I just can't say anything on their behalf. I did
Hmm.
read a rather open source report today that said ISIS K was behind the attack, and that the people who perpetrated the attack have actually been working in Russia as migrant workers with
Oh,
visas.
interesting.
At least a bunch of
Interesting.
them were. Like the key players were already there. How they obtained the weapons, I mean, I don't know what the situation to purchase one in Russia is like. So yeah, they're saying it's ISIS K, and if you look at, there's actually a girl who's a former targeter for the CIA, Sarah Adams, I think her name is. She has a really nice blog on on LinkedIn. She'd be an awesome guest on your show. Since the Taliban have taken control in Afghanistan again, right? They have partnered up with Al Qaeda, or AQ, if you ever hear that term. And
Sure.
AQ has really stepped up their presence in Afghanistan and has opened up a training camps in almost every major province. And ISIS K, as you know, was responsible for the bombing, the suicide bombing that killed all those Marines during the retreat, right? So it is likely that it is behind them, and you're starting to see ISIS and Al Qaeda, Al Shabaab, all the affiliates actually come together, and instead of competing, creating an alliance. So why they picked the Russians to attack, I don't know. Um, but it's very plausible. I mean, ISIS K was quick to take credit for it. Russian intelligence says that this is an ISIS K guy. So
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it works out. I'll say hello to Marianne, who's checking in as well. Is that your mom, Marianne, that's watching, Joe?
I don't think so. But if I
Uh,
sent her the link, she'd log on.
Okay, good. Um, yeah, she'd be very compelling on the YouTube. Baseball season starting this week, very
Mhm.
exciting. When you're a Met fan, the best day of the season is opening day because it can only go downhill from there. So we'll see how it goes. How are you feeling about your Yankees this year, Joe?
So, Frank, all the close honesty, I'm an honest guy. I haven't really followed the Yankees in spring training because I'm so wrapped up in the Rangers right now. The
Uh-huh.
New York Rangers, I'm an avid hockey fan. They are they are the number one team in the NHL as of 2 days ago. So it's really exciting. I've been watching a lot of great games. But of course, dude, the Yankees. Um, Not in my lifetime because I'm older, but this in my adult lifehood. This is the longest the Yankees have gone without a World Series. I feel they're always on the brink of greatness again. But we'll see what the pitching does. I was shocked that they re-signed the coach. I felt the manager. It was time for him to go.
Mm.
Now Boone did, like I said, he can win 100 games, but he fails in the playoffs.
Yeah,
So
I'll be honest. And I was sorry that the Mets got rid of Buck Showalter, who I really liked. I don't think the way Major League Baseball, and I think that's Al Durrell that's checking in with the moniker Met fan. He says, "Greetings, my Met fan Fred." Marianne says, "Go Reds."
go Reds.
Yeah, hey, wherever we got listeners all over, viewers all over.
Yeah,
The one thing I will say is, I think the way that baseball teams are run these days, I hate to say this because it's not how I would manage, but and it's not what I like as a fan. But I feel like it almost doesn't matter who the manager is. It's almost like with sabermetrics and consulting and scouting reports. It's almost like we talk about AI. It's almost like all these teams are being run by AI. There's none of
yes,
that kind of Casey Stengel style. Go with your gut. Oh, I have a good feeling about this guy. Everything has to be justified, and they're only putting people
yes.
in there that are implementing sabermetrics and all that other stuff.
I agree with you 100%, Frank. When Yankees were on their streak and they had, of course, I'm forgetting his name right now, a manager there in the '90s, the pitch,
Probably Joe Torre.
yeah, Joe Torre, and I'm thinking of the other guy too, who got thrown down in the Red Sox game.
Don Zimmer.
Don Zimmer. They would sit there and watch the players. And yeah, it says we want this batting order because they play, but like you're right. Dude, like Boone goes by the spreadsheet. I remember there was a game last year. I
And,
forgot who was
and
on the
by the way, that's what they want. They want
yeah,
someone that's going to do that. Their view is they're not going to spend, umpteen millions of dollars, highest payroll in baseball, and have somebody exercise independent thought. That was, and I don't mean to cut you off. I want to hear what
not
you were going to say, but that's what my hope was with Steve Cohen
yeah.
as the billionaire hedge fund owner of the Mets, that he would manage or own a team more like a fan. And it looked like it was going to be that way, but at least what we've seen thus far, it hasn't turned out that way.
Yeah, it's like last year. I forgot who was on the mound. Six. I don't think it was a no hitter, but it's like 3-0. Yankees are up. The pitcher is on fire. Nobody is hitting off this guy, right? But he hits his pitch count, they pull him. Why are you going to
Mm,
pull him? The guy is
exactly.
on fire. No one's hitting him. They put their relief in. Yankees lose 5-3. It
Yeah.
makes no sense. Keep him in until he's thrown, a few really bad ones. Then pull him. If he could throw a no hitter, stay in 9 innings, keep him in. I understand you don't want to burn him out, but if you're in this, you're in the playoff hunt, dude, keep that guy in another few rounds. You don't need to pull him. But, and I don't mean to have this shirt on, Frank. This is my friend's podcast, the guy that I worked
Yeah,
not
I was
with.
hoping you'd have a Racket Report T-shirt. That great
I
podcast
don't
with
give it to me. So if I could, this is Sean Ryan has a great podcast. He was a Navy SEAL and worked with me at Blackwater. I never worked with him directly, but he was in that group on a different project than me. But so if you want, I'll cover this up.
it's
Even though I
okay.
selflessly gave
It's
him a
all good. It's
plug.
all good.
Yeah, dude, it's great. I
I
think the Mets are good, dude. I think once again the Mets always put together these great teams, but then and they come out strong, and then towards the end of the year, it's just I just don't know. Is it ownership? Is it just they're following spreadsheets now, like you said?
I mean, last year I've never seen anything like what happened, except for the last time it happened to the Mets, maybe 12 years before that. I
Dude,
mean,
that's
they had the highest payroll in baseball, and for them to fall apart the way that they did was
dude,
just
I remember
was just
that in what was that
remarkable.
like 2007 or something? They were like 15 games in first place or
Yeah.
something, and then they just went on this 20-game like loss streak.
And 2 years ago, this was the record for a team that had the most games in first place, and not only did not make the playoffs, but they didn't even finish with a winning record, which was staggering. I mean, you talk about just horrible, but whatever. Let's see. I'm just trying to start. I'm trying to start the season on an optimistic note. Met fan says they're still paying Bobby Bonilla.
It's
That's true. I
it's
always like
very
Bobby Bonilla,
it's
though.
very long. It's a long CC. It's a long year. 182 games.
162 plus.
162. Yeah.
Now they keep adding round after round of playoffs. It used to
Yeah.
be just the World Series. Then it was the the World Series and the American League Championship, the series. Then it was the League
Yeah.
Divisional Series and the League Championship Series and the World Series. Now they have a whole division of playoffs before you get to the League Divisional Series. I don't even know what they call
I
that.
don't.
It's,
Yeah. I
you know,
didn't
it's a
even.
lot.
Yeah. Dude, like with hockey, it's 82 games. It's a long, grueling. Look, I'm happy the Rangers are doing great, but Frank, sometimes it's even like let's say your team's bad. I remember for a few years the Rangers had the highest play roll in hockey for 5 years ever. They didn't make the playoffs one year. Finally, they got rid of everybody and built it up from the farm. That's what really the Yankees get a lot of grief for the '90s, saying they bought their players, but 8 of their starting players were from the farm. And I think
Right,
when you bring them up in the organization, you always need to pull some hired guns in.
right.
The veterans that have been around that could do these things. And I don't know. We'll see. The Rangers need to make it out of the first round of the playoffs.
Now
Every year they're doing
I
so
know so
great.
little about hockey. Where are we in the hockey season now? Beginning, middle, and
So
where
we're
are we?
at the end. Most teams have on or about 10 games left in the regular year, and then the playoffs start.
And so the Rangers, I'm assuming because you said they're among the best teams in hockey, that they're definitely in the playoffs. Obviously,
Yeah, I think even if they lose their 10 remaining games or 11 games, they'd still be in. But
are there any other New York area teams in the playoffs?
so the Devils are not in. They're kind of fighting for it. And the Islanders just lost to the Devils last night. So I don't. I think the Devils and Islanders were fighting for one of those bottom
Gotcha.
playoff spots.
Okay.
So I have to
Well,
check.
that's going to be interesting. All right. I see we have 4 people watching live. Thank you. But there's only 3 people that have liked this video. So if you're one of the 4 that's kind enough to watch this, please be sure to like and subscribe and share it so that your people can tune in as well. You know, it's funny. Sometimes I'll make remarks about what I want to bring up in these videos, either something I'm going to do on the show or something else. But I forgot to write down something that I was going to mention in one of these videos, so it's lost now to the sands of time. I guess this is part of what comes with having all this gray hair, is that you don't have the kind of memory that you used to. So I don't know what it is. Let me tell folks what's coming up on the radio tonight, starting at 1 a.m. Very exciting. Not only are we going to talk about the presidency of Martin Van Buren, I'm hoping to get a hold of George Beebe on that Russian terrorist situation and the ongoing tensions between Russia and the United States, which, as Joe alluded to, is less like a proxy war and more just like a war. But I'm also going to be joined by really one of the smartest people around, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya. Not only is he a medical doctor, but he's a PhD in economics. And what I'm most interested in talking about him with is he was the guy, or one of the guys, that was the progenitor of this lawsuit that the Supreme Court is now hearing about whether or not the government can tell the social media companies who to censor. Personally, it looks like the Supreme Court is not going to go with me on this. I think there's absolutely no way they should be able to do that. I think if the government is saying to Twitter, who's reliant upon the federal government for umpteen different things, including the Section 230 protections, if they say, look at what that Joe Ween is tweeting, you should probably do something about that. I think when the federal government has that club, as Justice Alito put it, that power to regulate, that comes across as coercive. But it sounded like the majority of the justices were not leaning that way. So we'll see. So we're going to talk to Dr. Bhattacharya about free speech in the age of social media and what it means, what the government should be able to do, what the social media companies have an obligation to do, and where all that fits in. So we'll get into that and a whole bunch of other things. I am hoping that after we put Carmine to bed, we can watch the latest edition of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I'll give my review. Joe, remind me, do you watch Curb Your Enthusiasm?
So I haven't watched the new one yet.
Okay, so but you've seen this season.
Yes.
Yeah, how are you liking it so far? It's the last season.
I like it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think it's very funny, and I'm glad to see that it's still going out while it's maintaining a high quality, rather than do what a lot of other shows do and just stay on long past their prime.
Yeah, and that was a good thing. Like with the original, the Seinfeld, that he wrote most of the stuff. Right? They went out in first place. They didn't try and reformat and introduce a new person into the show. They were number one. They were getting tired.
I agree with
the man?
You. Hey, come on.
Hey, Carmine. You're getting so big.
Before you could even walk, Joe stayed here with another friend of his, and you were standing right over there in your walker, and you couldn't even talk, and you sneezed, and all three of us said, God bless you.
Yes.
Where are you going, bud? You going upstairs? You going upstairs? All right. Well, all right. He's going upstairs. We're not keeping his interest. All right. Well, don't get into too much trouble with it. I agree with you. I think that they're definitely setting this season of Curb up for the last episode to do a remake of that last episode of Seinfeld. They keep referencing that last episode of Seinfeld, the finale. And, I don't want to give away the plot for people that haven't seen any of the season, but they're setting it up so that there will be some sort of big trial in that last episode.
And I think that would be great. I don't necessarily I watch Seinfeld every day on television, because one of the TV channels plays. Carmine, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
What's your favorite TV show? What's your favorite show? We're talking about Seinfeld. What show do you like?
You watch Mickey Mouse?
Do you like Mickey Mouse?
Watch the Bubble Guppies?
I don't think you've known about that. What shows do you watch? What do you like to watch on TV? Little Sesame Street once in a while, right? Maybe some Daniel Tiger.
Daniel Tiger, yeah, I forgot about him.
That's a spin-off of Mr. Rogers, right? Where you going?
My daughter used to watch that, yeah.
Yeah.
So I would like to see them do not a remake. I watch Seinfeld every day because it's the reruns are on every day. But I would like to see them do an episode of them coming out of jail and have it, because they're older now, be like, yeah, wow. That was a long year.
I think that would be funny. But they did a Curb Your Enthusiasm series was there basically where they basically did a Seinfeld reunion. So it was almost like we got that Seinfeld reunion on
Yeah.
Curb.
Oh, Frank's
Frank
on.
Fontano, our friend Frank Fontano asks, "Still love?" ? And then he amends it to live. So not sure how to answer that, but thankfully your mother Marianne said to him, "Yes, still love." Yeah, Frank, if you can, you're welcome to participate in our exchange. Just click on that link that I
Yeah,
sent
click
you. I
on
don't know
that
if there's
live. Like my battery's running dead. I didn't know I was going to be going on the phone
yeah.
today.
Well, yeah, I should probably get going to prepare for not only bedtime for this young man, but for my paying job
Yeah.
tonight, where presumably somebody's actually paying to hear what I have to say.
Yes, we want you to join. It's what we just said, Frank.
Yeah, Frank, go ahead. Jump on if you're able. Click that link, and there should be a thing. Unless I don't know, unless Joe and I took up all the spots, maybe it's not feasible.
Well, if I could dip
you know,
out, he could come on. He knows more Hollywood facts than anybody I know.
Well, who Frank does?
Yeah.
Yeah. What does he know about Coco Melon? Carmine's very interested in Coco Melon, right? All right. Okay, we're gonna. Frank says he can't. It's not working. Well, you know what, Frank? You should have clicked a little sooner. Hopefully, you can.
Next time.
Do at least do your part and share and encourage other people to watch this live stream. So, all right, Frank. Hopefully, I'll see you on Holy Thursday. Joe is going to join us. He's not sure if he's going to drink. I'm sending him a fax from the Vatican that indicates it is okay for him to drink, but we'll see. There's no way to know. So, so that we'll see where that goes. All right. Say goodbye to Joe and Frank and Marianne and Bridget Guzzi.
Bye.
Say goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
I'm going to get going also.
Yep.
People, please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already. Okay. Kitty cats? Okay, we can put on kitty cats. Is that how you ask? Good boy. Okay.
There we go. All right.
Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Rocket Report podcast. It's on any podcast app. If you want to help us out, subscribe to that and give us a nice 5-star rating. That'll help more people discover it. All right, gentlemen and ladies, I will see you on the radio.
All right. Bye.